This channel might be called Destination Thailand 2028, but that doesn't really explain how we got to this point in the first place. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mark and I have the crazy idea of spending Christmas 2028 in Bangkok, not as a tourist, but as a resident. But before we start talking about why Thailand, why Bangkok, and all the things that go into that, I thought it was useful to explain to you where this idea of changing countries came from in the first place. For some people, moving countries would be completely alien. And for us, it's still a big deal, but it's not exactly brand new territory. So I'm from the UK, my wife is from Belgium, 2 of our children were born in Spain, so we already have an international flavor to life. We've lived in Belgium and Spain in addition to the UK, so we're quite well versed in some of the challenges that come along with moving from country to country. But there are advantages as well, and one of the biggest is that it gives you a shift of perspective. We know that the UK is our home, but we also know that it's not the only version of home that's possible. In fact, I'd probably argue that it's not even the best version of home that we've encountered. We've been living in the UK since 2010, but there was no organised plan to come back here. So in 2008, we were living in Barcelona, Spain. We had 3 young kids, a house with a pool and a good quality of life, and things were really good. At the same time, there was a global economic crisis that hit Spain particularly badly, which caused high levels of unemployment. The company that I was working for was selling off bits of the business, and the net result was that we needed to leave Spain, but that we had a bit of time to decide where we wanted to go. So my wife and I sat down and listed all the countries that we might like to move to. So Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Japan, the Netherlands. There were lots of options, including the UK. And we scored those countries based on things like language, cost of living, job prospects, etc. And the truth is that the UK came last, mostly because we felt that it would be a little bit easy, maybe a bit too familiar, maybe lacking in some of the excitement that a different country would bring. However, a few days later, I saw a job that was advertised in the UK. It looked very interesting, so I applied, and lo and behold, I got it. And we made a very practical decision that with 3 young kids, we needed to go where the job was, which is how we ended up back in the UK. When the UK voted for Brexit in 2016, that complicated things for us because it meant that I could no longer easily go and live and work in the European Union, and that my wife, well, for a long time it wasn't clear whether she would be allowed to remain here in the UK. Now, as it turns out, she does have the right to remain, but that is contingent on us staying in the UK. If we were to leave, it may not be so easy for her to come back and live here permanently. That doesn't change the fact that the UK was never intended to be our end destination. And so at some point it's fair to ask whether we are actively choosing to stay here, or are we just continuing to stay here because it is a comfortable choice, the easy option. So between 2009 and 2012, there was an idea on the table that my wife and I were talking about to take the kids out of school and travel around the world. I'd read a book of a family that had done it and thought, well, if they can do it and survive, why can't we? We had a map and we had pins in the map and we had a route. So even when we were, had a house brochure in one hand, I probably had a map of the world in the other one, looking to see where we might go next. I don't regret not doing it. I can't honestly remember why we didn't in the end. I suspect, like I said, life and the practicalities of that took precedent. I don't know whether we made the wrong decision or the right decision. We made a decision, and the rest is history. But that idea, that nugget, has definitely stuck with me in the years since. I've been very lucky to have travelled to over 40 countries in my life, the vast majority of them not as a tourist, but in various roles within market research, for major clients, smaller agencies, or now with my own consulting firm. My job essentially specialises in helping businesses translate culture in a way that helps them manage some of the challenges that come with being an international brand. So when I travel, I'm less interested in beaches and hotels than I am in languages, beliefs, rituals, traditions, and cultures. My wife is a teacher, but she also started off in this industry. So for us, travel is not just an escape, it's stimulation, it's fuel, it's adventure. And I'd be lying if I said that wasn't part of the buzz behind this idea to move to Thailand. I hope you found this backstory useful because it frames some of the things that will come up in later videos when we start talking about why Thailand, why Bangkok, visas, dogs, money, and all the very practical stuff. This is not a sudden decision. The idea of moving countries has been at the back of our minds for a while now. But Thailand is the country that has started to make us take it a bit more seriously.